Assalamu alaikum, this is Maria Zulfikar welcoming you all to the English news from Btv Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Government born amid unity, created through unity. When we all sit together, we remain united, says Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus. Interim government orders investigation strongly condemning attack on peaceful gathering of students of hill tracts in front of NCTB. Allegation filed to ICT accusing 40 and ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on charges of killing former Jamaat-e-Islami Naib Amir of Lokhipur district. Former State Minister for Home Affairs Lutfuzzaman Babar works free after 17 years in prison. Israel and Hamas agree Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal following 15 months of war. And Fortune Borishal beat Dhaka Capitals by 8 wickets at Zahur Ahmed Chaudhry Stadium in Chattogram. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. An all-party meeting has begun to finalize proclamation of the July Revolution. The interim government, led by Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus, hold an all-party conference over the July Proclamation at the Foreign Service Academy. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus reiterated the interim government would take the nation forward through unity. He said the government was born amid unity. It was created through unity. When we work alone and see no one is beside us, we feel weak a bit, and when you all sit together, we get courage in mind that we remain united. He said this while delivering his opening speech at the meeting.
জন্ম হয়েছে ঐক্যের মাঝখানে, ঐক্যর দ্বারা এটা সৃষ্টি। যখন আমরা নিজেরা কাজ করি, ওটা হঠাৎ দেখি একা পড়ে গেছে, আশেপাশে কেউ নাই আপনারা, তখন একটু দুর্বল মনে করি। যখন আবার সবাই একসঙ্গে হন, আপনারা আবার মনের মধ্যে সাহস আছে যে আমরা একতাবদ্ধভাবে আছি। ওই দিনের পুরো অনুভূতিটাই ছিল একতার অনুভূতি। কেউ বলে নাই যে তুমি অমুক তুমি অমুক। একতাতেই আমাদের জন্ম, একতাতেই আমাদের শক্তি। যে লক্ষ্য নিয়ে, যে উদ্দেশ্য নিয়ে এই সরকার প্রতিষ্ঠিত হয়েছে, সেই সরকার রিজুবিনেটেড হয়। সবার সঙ্গে দেখলে প্রাণ সঞ্চার হয়। বাঁচে ওকে যদি রিক্রিয়েট করতে হয়, তাহলে এইভাবেই করতে হবে, একত্রে করতে হবে। সেই কথার থেকেই এই আলাপ শুরু। যদি সর্বসম্মতিক্রমে আমরা এর থেকে একটা দেশের সামনে আসতে পারি, দেশের জন্য ভালো, আন্তর্জাতিকভাবে অনেক ভালো। সবাই দেখবে যে এই জাতিকে বহু ঠোকরা ঠুকরি হয়েছে, তো নড়ে না, স্থির হয়ে আছে, শক্ত হয়ে আছে। এটি হলো আসলে, সেটা আমরা সারা দুনিয়াকেও জানাতে চাই, আমাদের দেশবাসীকেও জানাতে চাই।
On January 14, Advisor Mahfouz Alam at a press briefing said that the Council of Advisors formulated a draft of the July Proclamation and held talks with some political parties including BNP Jamaat-e-Islami and many stakeholders to get their opinions. He hoped that all-party meeting on Thursday would reach a consensus to finalize the document of July Proclamation. The interim government has strongly condemned the attack on a peaceful gathering of a group of students of hill tracts in front of NCTB Motijil yesterday. Besides, it has ordered an investigation into the attack, while 2 persons have already been arrested in connection with the incident, said a statement issued by the Chief Advisor's press wing today. Other perpetrators are being identified and will soon be arrested. All miscreants will be brought to justice, it read. Imbibed in the true spirits of the July mass uprising, the government reiterates in unequivocal terms that there is no place for mob violence, racial hatred, and bigotry in Bangladesh. The government has warned that anyone involved in activities that harm harmony, peace, and law and order shall face stern actions without discrimination, according to the statement. An allegation has been filed to the International Crimes Tribunal on charges of killing former Naibi Amir of Lokipur District Jamaat-e-Islami, Dr. Faiz Ahmed. As many as 41 people have been made accused, including former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, former Home Minister Mohiuddin Khan Alamgir, former Prime Minister's military advisor Tariq Ahmed Siddiqui, former ADG of RAB Major General Ziaul Ahsan, former CEO of RAB 11 Tariq Syed Muhammad, Dr. Hassanul Banna, son of Dr. Faiz Ahmed, filed the allegation to the tribunal. He filed the allegation to the Office of the Chief Prosecution today seeking justice for the killing of his father. Dr. Faiz Ahmed was known as the humanitarian doctor. There are allegations that Dr. Faiz Ahmed was killed by RAB at night by shooting and pushing him from the roof of his Lokipur home on December 23rd in 2013. The Anti-Corruption Commission reform body made 47 recommendations to turn the ACC into a constitutional organization and keep the appointment process free from political influence. The Reform Commission also made recommendations for structural changes to the ACC with increase in the number of commissioners to 5 from 3. The Anti-Corruption Commission was founded in 2004 to tackle corruption, but the organization could not fulfill expectations of people in the past 20 years. Following the reality, the interim government formed the ACC Reform Commission. The commission submitted its report with recommendations to Chief Advisor Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus on Wednesday after almost 3 months into its formation. Lutfuzzaman Babur, former State Minister for Home Affairs, walked free after 17 years in prison, receiving a warm reception from BNP leaders and activists at the jail gate. He walked out of Dhaka Central Jail in Kiraniganj around 2 p.m. The High Court on Tuesday acquitted 5 people, including Lutfuzzaman Babur, in a case filed under the Arms Act over the sensational 10-truck arms haul. The High Court bench of Justice Mustafa Zaman Islam and Justice Nasrin Akhtar passed the order after hearing. Earlier on December 18 last year, the High Court acquitted 6 death row convicts, including Lutfuzzaman Babur, in a case filed under the Special Powers Act. On April 1, 2004, 10 trucks of arms were seized at the Chittagong Urea Fertilizer Limited jetty. 2 cases, one under the Arms Act and another under the Special Powers Act, were filed with Cornofully Police Station the following day, naming 50 people as accused in the arms case and 52 in the other. Chattogram District Administration organized a youth fair and cultural festival under the slogan "Come change the country, change the world" at Bhattiari DC Park. The jubilation of the July Revolution was all over this youth fair that inspires the young society calling to build a prosperous Bangladesh. Chattogram District Commissioner Farida Khanam said the path of the youth revolution was in an unknown destination. The sacrifice of the youth is the future path of Bangladesh. Speakers at the youth fair recalls the sacrifices of martyrs Abu Said, Mugdho and Wasim. People from all walks and the wounded of the July Revolution were present at the festival. Election analysts have termed the recommendations of the Election Reform Commission positive and constructive. They gave reactions on their recommendations in exclusive interviews with the VTV. The experts said a free, fair, and impartial election is possible if a consensus could be ensured comprising of political parties and stakeholders on the recommendations of the Commission. The Election Reform Commission submitted its report to Chief Advisor of the interim government, Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, on Wednesday with 150 recommendations in 16 fields. The major recommendations include a person can't be Prime Minister for 2 times, 2-time Prime Minister can't be the President, choosing Deputy Speaker from opposition party, increase in members in the Parliament by 100 and 1/4 of the Parliament members should be women. Experts have termed these recommendations positive for holding a free, fair, and acceptable election. Now, international news. Israel and Hamas agreed a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal following 15 months of war. The deal comes after weeks of intensive rounds of indirect negotiations in the Qatari capital Doha between Israel and Hamas, mediated by facilitators from the US, Egypt, and Qatar. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani said the agreement would come into effect on 19 January, Sunday. Probir Borua has the details.
More than 46,000 people have been killed in Gaza since Israel launched a massive offensive following a cross-border attack in southern Israel by Hamas on October 7 of 2023. About 1,200 people were killed and 251 others were taken hostage to Gaza in that attack. Israel says 94 of the hostages are still being held by Hamas, of whom 34 are presumed dead. Most of the 2.3 million population of Gaza has also been displaced since then. Signs of destruction everywhere. Severe shortage of food, fuel, medicine, and shelter created one of the worst humanitarian crises ever. The deal approved by both Israel and Hamas will see the war in Gaza stop, an exchange of hostages and prisoners, the withdrawal of Israeli troops, and return of displaced Palestinians. The truce is expected to happen in 3 stages, with the first one lasting for 6 weeks. Meanwhile, the health ministry in Gaza said dozens of Palestinians have been killed by Israeli strikes hours after ceasefire deal reached, though Israel has not commented. People in Israel and the Gaza Strip celebrated the news of the long-awaited ceasefire, expecting the war to stop, but they don't know if the more than century-old conflict will end or not, to cease their miseries. Probir Borua, Btv Chattogram.
US President Joe Biden urged Americans to stand guard against a dangerous oligarchy forming under Donald Trump as he delivered a dark farewell address before stepping down next week. In a prime-time speech from the Oval Office at the end of his single term in office, he warned of an ultra-wealthy tech industrial complex that he said could gain unchecked power over the American people. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms. The 82-year-old Democrat said. Biden began his speech by touting the legacy of his 4 years in office, saying it may take time to feel the benefits, but the seeds were planted for Americans in the future. But he soon turned to painting a series of dangers that he said were facing the United States, which clearly referred to billionaire Trump's close ties to the world's richest man, Elon Musk, and other tech tycoons. Biden warned there was a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people with dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Russia launched a wave of missiles and drones at Ukrainian energy facilities on Wednesday, intensifying a months-long bombing campaign at a precarious moment of the war for Ukraine. The barrage came a day after Kiev said it had carried out its largest aerial attack of the war on Russian army factories and energy hubs, hundreds of kilometers from the front line. The Ukrainian Air Force said Russia launched 43 cruise and ballistic missiles as well as 74 attack drones in the barrage, which targeted sites mainly in western Ukraine. Alexandra Komuna, an elderly resident of the western Ukrainian village of Skinliv, at the home during the attack when lamps and plaster began falling. The U.S. State Department on Wednesday announced new sanctions on more than 150 individuals and entities involved in Russia's defense industry and supporting its military-industrial base. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the new administration would seek bold diplomacy to end the war. Now, sports news. Cricket. Fortune Borishal returned to winning ways, beating Dhaka Capitals by 8 wickets at the Zahur Ahmed Chaudhary Stadium in the first fixture of the Chattogram phase today. After Najmul Hussain Shantu's dismissal in the second over in chase of Dhaka's 139, Tamim and Malan strung together a 117-run stand for the third wicket. Tamim's 48-ball 61 and Malan unbeaten 49 helped Borishal picking up their sixth win. Earlier, Tanzit Hassan Tamim played a lone hand, but the rest of the Dhaka Capitals outfit could not play around him. He departed for a 44-ball 62 and Dhaka innings crumbled and came to an end in 19.3 overs. Tanvir was the peak of the bowlers, finishing with 3 for 39.